Hello, my beautiful souls. Welcome to Earth and Sky Center. I'm your host, Angelica Roth, and we love bringing these life talks to you every Sunday morning. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about the difference of control versus surrender, because there has been a lot of anxiety in the world lately. It seems like most of the people coming in lately are talking about feeling a lot of anxiety and kind of struggling with sometimes feeling that sense of not wanting to get up, not wanting to do anything, not wanting to face anything, or feeling like they're very angry and agitated and just kind of wanting to go at every single person that comes their way. So you might find yourself bouncing between those different extremes or somewhere in the middle. But it got me thinking a little bit, and I was asking the universe, what is some advice, maybe from a different angle, that we could talk about to help if you are struggling with anxiety currently and trying to figure out either how to motivate yourself and get started despite anxiety, or maybe how to calm yourself down a little bit when you have that anxiety attack kind of coming on. What I've noticed quite frequently is for myself, when I start to feel very anxious about something maybe that's coming up, I might tend to go one of two different ways. I see this a lot with people where we will sometimes feel like we need to control everything in our lives or everything about the situation that is causing the anxiety. For example, if you are maybe working on a project, you're trying to create something, maybe it's for work or maybe it's something at your home, and it just seems like it's starting to go astray and you aren't sure how to kind of gather everything back and get it back on track. Sometimes the inclination will be to try to control everything, to control every detail, to try to control all the people in your life, perhaps, that you really don't have any control over, or perhaps to try to control people that are indirectly in your life, even if it's not somebody directly that you have communication with. And that never really works. And that same thing is true with projects. If you're working on a physical project in front of yourself, if you're trying to control every single detail that comes through with it, you're going to find yourself frustrated, depleted of energy, and finding that you feel like you're just not really measuring up to the standards that you were hoping that you would achieve. Sometimes we set very high standards for ourselves and we shoot ourselves in the foot in a way when we try to control every detail. And oftentimes when people get into that mode of wanting to control everything in their own life, then they really start getting frustrated when something unexpected comes in. Perhaps it's something as isolated or distanced from you as a car cuts in front of you on the road. But if you are already in that control mindset and you weren't expecting it, it might cause that anger or anxiety to really catapult quite quickly. Or perhaps you are working on maybe a painting project and you are right in the middle of it and you realize that you don't have a color that you need and you don't want to have to stop. And so you're trying to figure out how to control the details to have things go exactly the way you want to plan. There are so many different ways that we see these issues sometimes come up with trying to have too much control on things. And at the same time, having a certain amount of control is really beneficial. It's really helpful when you're making plans for something. You want to have an idea of what it is that you want to create. You need to have some action steps that you can implement to get where you want to be. And if you're working with a relationship, let's say if you are maybe your personal relationship, your significant other, and you are feeling some friction in your life right now, perhaps because of a lot of larger scale anxiety triggering things that are going on, if it's causing friction between the two of you, if you find yourself having that tendency where you keep wanting to try to control things too much, then sometimes it's helpful to take a step back from that, because we might be trying to control things that really aren't ours to even control at all. So it's good to look at what are the things that are good for me to control and implement and take action with and do, And what are the things that I really need to just surrender, to let go, to set it free, and to see where it goes? There's this beautiful balance that happens when we can understand when to control and when to surrender, when to plan and take action, and when to really release, let go, and simply observe. I find it is very empowering to be able to move between both of these two different worlds, both of these two different types of thought patterns and behaviors, because there are incredible things that will happen when we learn to surrender. Frequently for myself, I often use the phrase, I surrender to the light of the universe, or I surrender to the light of Reiki, or I surrender this to let it go to the universe. And when we do that, we're recognizing that we don't have to control every single detail for it to come out exactly perfect and in whatever way it is that is best for us and whoever else might be concerned within it. There is so much that no matter how much we think we plan and we think we know, there is so much above our ability to comprehend and know and understand that when we surrender to whatever you perceive as a larger power, greater power, when we surrender to that, all of these incredible synchronicities begin to happen. And we start to see life come into this flow that we would never have even expected or known to dream could be as great as they can be. So it becomes, I believe, a balancing, almost as though you're on a teeter-totter in a way. So on one side, it's about control, and on the other side, it's about surrender. And really, you find your equilibrium when you are able to move between both of those and know very masterfully when do you need to control and when do you need to let go. There's a formula for this that really works in every aspect of your life. If you have a goal that you are planning, let's say you want to take your business to the next level over the next year, then you're going to want to do some very practical things. You're going to want to really plan to look at, what does that mean to you? What does expansion mean? What do you want to do with it? Or maybe a home project, you're wanting to renovate things in your home. What does that mean? What do you want it to look at? Like, what will be the action steps that you need to take? Perhaps setting something like a 1-year plan of what is your outlook of what you want to see in your life in the next year? What do you want to see in the next 5 years? Where do you want to be in the next 10 years? And giving yourself a lot of flexibility in that. I think that it's important when we do those long-range plans to not lock ourselves down feeling like it has to be exactly this way, because who you are in 5 years from now may be drastically different from who you are now. And so being able to give yourself flexibility while also creating a plan so that you know the direction that you're headed is another great example of how we can do this ebb and flow of control and surrender. When you make a plan for goals that you have in your life and whatever it is you're wanting to create, maybe you just want to focus on this year for now. Think about what it is that you want. What do you need to do to bring it into you? What steps? What are the action steps? That's part of the control side. But then as you implement and you take those action steps, it's really important to also give breathing room in between each of those. That is where the surrender comes in. Giving yourself time to rest and reset. Giving yourself time to implement the action steps and then take a step back and look at what you just did. Give yourself some a praise for knowing that you took those steps, you did the actions, you are moving in the right direction, and let yourself enjoy the moment, because life really is a journey. It's not a destination. Life is not about the goals that we have and about how someday we will get there and it will be this magical, beautiful place. Because guess what? Even when we achieve our goals, we're still on a journey, and we're dreaming new dreams, and we're having new challenges, and we're figuring out what we do next. So when you learn how to step back and surrender and enjoy the journey as you go along the way, while recognizing where do you take action, where do you implement it, where do you exercise some control, where do you also exercise restraint. Sometimes control is making sure you do the things you need to do, and sometimes it's making sure you have a little restraint. You don't overindulge, you don't do excessive things, you hold yourself back a little bit, and then going again into that flow of surrender. We see this formula also work with wishes, where a lot of times when people are wanting to manifest, when you're creating something, maybe you are doing some kind of a manifesting ceremony and you're writing down, journaling what you want to create. Maybe you're having a candle there and letting your intentions really rise up. You're visualizing what it is you want to create in your life, and you're sending it out to the universe. As important as it is to write it down and to know what it is you're asking for, it is equally important to release it and to let it go afterwards. There are some civilizations that every time they do something where they set intentions to manifest, they really focus equally on, after they journal and write down what they're looking for, burning that paper and completely releasing it and letting it go, putting it out of the mind, no longer thinking about it, just deciding, okay, I've set this into motion in the upper realms. I will observe what comes my way and what I feel inspired to do, but also just letting it go. And sometimes the most incredible things come through so spontaneously and so surprisingly when we learn to let it go like that. I have seen several examples with people where they had something they were wanting to manifest so much and working on it so hard for several months or even a couple of years, focusing, and they didn't get it until they finally decided to just let it go and not worry about it and not even try anymore. And then all of a sudden, boom, it's there, because we have a stranglehold on things when we're trying to control it too much. This has happened so many times where I've seen people wanting to have a child, and maybe they've tried for several years, done IVF and other things, and it just hasn't worked out. And then finally they decide, you know what, we're done, we're not even going to worry about it, taking a break for a period of time, and all of a sudden, boom, the woman is pregnant, and they are seeing that what that they were trying to manifest coming in, but they had to surrender first, let go of the stress first. When we are trying to control things, we have so much stress in our brains, so much stress in our mind, and we are strangleholding everything that we're trying to create instead of setting it free so that it can create, so that it can multiply, so that it can come back to us the way that we really want. And the last example I wanted to share with this same formula is with relationships. We see this in relationships so much, where a partner in a relationship may want to control everything. They may want to dictate to their spouse, you need to do these things, you need to say these things, you need to behave this way. This is the picture of what I want my life to look like, and you need to be the one that fulfills this spot, and no one in that house is happy. The person that is being controlled is not happy. The one that feels like they need to do all the controlling is not happy, and it causes friction over time, and they end up growing apart and resenting each other and having frustration, animosity, because that neither one feels like they're being fulfilled because of that stranglehold of control. So it begins to become more about getting out of that cycle by surrendering, recognizing how to communicate well in relationships is a big part of that balance between control and surrender. We need to recognize how to let the other person be who they are, how to love the unique characteristics and traits of the other person that's your significant other, even those traits, and especially those traits that drive you crazy right now, because those are things that make them uniquely them. And when you stop trying to control and change those things, you can start to learn how to appreciate the beauty in that uniqueness instead, and learning how to communicate clearly, where it's not a message of communicating saying you have to, I need, it must be, this is the only way. Instead, saying these are things that I would really like. These are things that make me feel love. Saying or doing or showing these things lets me know that you appreciate me. Recognizing what is it you're really trying to get instead of saying what they need to do. Make it about what you are looking for in yourself, not what they are failing at. Recognize when you open the dialogue for things like this, what do they do that you actually do love? Sometimes, especially if we're in a control mindset, or if we're in a mindset on the other extreme where we just give up and feel like nothing is going to happen and it's not worth it, in either of those mindsets, we tend to focus on what's not going the way we want it to be. We see the negative. We focus on the feelings of sadness. We focus on where we feel neglected or whatever it is that feels very negative. And we miss all of the good things that actually are there that we're just not feeling because we're feeling kind of empty inside. Coming into the balance of control and surrender means opening your eyes to see what are the good things that are going on in your life. So if you're applying this to a special relationship in your life, then allow yourself to look with fresh eyes and see what are the good things that are here. How does this person show me that they care? What are the things that I love about this person? Or why do I care about this person? Why do I even want to make this work? Getting in touch with those things will get you ready to have a conversation where you can express the needs that you have, what you are looking for, and being able to surrender and to admit to maybe what you were controlling too much. Or if you're on the other end of that, and instead of controlling, you feel like you've just given up and it's hopeless and you're just kind of surrendering too much, not participating anymore, then ask those same questions of yourself and see where can you get yourself to stand up again, to take action, to feel that strength in your spine again, to feel that joy that can run through your veins again, and allow yourself to take action to find that balance. Get back on that slide of surrender and control, surrender and control and release. That is a great way to bring in that light of happiness, that light of balance. Being able to find and feel and know peace in your life comes from being simple, practical, and efficient with the steps that you need to take, and also being willing to let go, to surrender, to trust, to have certainty in the light, and to trust and have certainty in those people that you choose to have in your life as well. It is a dance, it's a balance, it's not always easy. So give yourself grace along the way as you learn how to practice where to let go of control, where to exercise some control, where to just surrender, and how to not give up, how to find that beautiful balance on your feet. And you will be creating the life of your dreams with this formula, finding that balance where it works for you. I would love to have you type in the comments what parts of your life you find yourself maybe finding yourself trying to exercise too much control, and what parts of your life do you find yourself surrendering more. Where do you feel like you need to work on this most? Do you find that you exercise a lot of control in your relationship, but not so much at work? Or maybe in your career, you're always trying to focus, very, very controlled. And when you get home, you just want to surrender. Maybe you're not fully being an active participant. There are so many ways that we can be on the spectrum. So it can be good to look at your life and notice, how can you get a little bit more engaging with finding balance in the dance between control and surrender? Surrendering to the light of the universe, asking the light to guide you in whatever way is best. One of the things I find very helpful to say each day is asking the light to guide me and heal me, that I may be of greater service to myself and to others. I certainly would encourage you to incorporate that in your own life, or come up with your own similar wording of something that works for you, that fits for you, your goals in your life. Please visit our website, earthandskyscenter.com. We have some very exciting things going on right now, and I will look forward to seeing you again right here on this channel, Earth and Sky Center on YouTube. If you haven't already, please hit the like button, subscribe, share this video out. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks.